skirk is in alley this morning. 1-star rating on burst stomach. These listeners are afraid of us. We have seen their true face. Their phones are extended gutters, and their AirPods are full of blood. And when their headphones finally scab over, all the vermin will drown. The accumulated filth of all their Joe Rogan and Smartless episodes will foam up about their waists, and all the whores and politicians and listeners will look up and shout, "Do more lost episodes." And we'll whisper, "No."
Hello and welcome to Rewatching the Watchmen, the podcast that was formerly known as Lost Within Lost, where we rewatched the 10 best episodes of Lost.
That's right. We watched all of them. We rated all of them, and it was a resounding yes that The Constant really is the greatest episode of Lost of all time. Dan,
Not quite how I remember it, but
Okay.
Anyway, we can continue on. That's all in the past now.
It is in the past. We have since moved on, and of course, if you listen to the last episode, you'll know that we are now rewatching The Watchmen. That is the title of the podcast, and it is the assignment that we are currently on.
Yeah. So last week we started at the beginning. We went right back to the original comic book release, the Alan Moore, Dave Gibbons comic book from 1986. And this week we're going to move on to the 2009 Zack Snyder directed movie version of The Watchmen, which of course everybody is unanimous.
It loves it. It's an incredible feat of filmmaking, and I cannot wait to talk through it. Dan, I'm so excited to get your opinion because I was absolutely pumped when this came out in 2009. So we're going to go and cover the development of the film. We touched on some of the that's a story that started in 1987, but we're in the 2000s now. We're going to talk about casting rumors, controversies, and then I'm hoping, Dan, that we can learn a bit more about the man himself, Alan Moore, because last time we spoke, he was a magician. So
he is a magician. He's still a magician. Spoiler, he remains a wielder of magic.
Yes. And the other thing, Dan, before we kick in to Watchmen, was just a little bit of homework, because you talked about the role-playing, Watchmen role-playing source book.
Yes.
That what is it, the last little bit of content or story
that Alan Moore created. Yes.
So I had a quick little game for you. What do you think it would be worth on eBay? Because you said you've got one.
I do.
From the original release. Do you think you're sitting on a bit of treasure there?
No, not anymore. I think like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago it might have been worth something, because I did go check every now and then. It was usually like you can, some of these DC modules, like they're $100 or $200 or something. That's not a zillionaire, but it's decent. And I think this was definitely one of them for a while. But they did release as part of a new Watchmen bound copy or a new something.
Right.
It was in the back of one of those, and I think that's basically ruined any market I had in this, which was not really why I was keeping it, but.
It's tanked your value, Dan. Yeah. I can buy one for $16 if I want to right now. Yeah. From 19 what would it have been, 89
88 or 89, probably.
Yes. Yeah, no, $16 on eBay if you want to complete
I can sell
your collection.
You mine for 15.
All right, well, write in if you really want a copy and $16 is too much.
Yeah.
You write in and Dan might haggle on his.
Yeah.
So let's get into it, Dan. It's Watchmen 2009 film release, directed by Zack Snyder. We'll talk about him a bit further in this episode. There's plenty to talk about there. The screenplay was written by David Hayter and Alex C.
Yep.
This is based on the 1986 comic book series Watchmen by Dave Gibbons. That is how it is written on the poster and written in all of the credentials of this film. A Warner Brothers release. It was produced by Lawrence Gordon, Lloyd Levin, and Deborah Snyder, who is, of course, the wife of Zack Snyder, Snyder's wife. And they've been married for quite a number of years and have produced and made a lot of films together.
Yep.
one quick rabbit hole on Deborah Snyder before we move on, because we won't. She's not really a big part of this story. But
Deborah Snyder rabbit hole. I was not expecting a Deborah Snyder rabbit hole when I came in here, but let's go.
It's a quick podcast recommendation. It's called The Hollywood Con Queen, and it's the story of somebody who was able to catfish in basically all of Hollywood, and particularly Deborah Snyder. So this person would call up people like personal trainers, hairdressers, fight coordinators, all of those little sort of what you might think of smaller jobs on a Hollywood set, like a dog trainer or and they would their whole grift was that they might call someone at a gym and say, I need someone, we're shooting a film next week and we need you to go out on location, we're shooting in Indonesia. And this poor person would think, I've finally made it, I've been trying to get into the industry, and they would present themselves as Deborah Snyder. That's right. And these people didn't know what she was supposed to sound like on the phone.
Yeah.
And it's an incredible story. I don't want to spoil it. It's an absolutely binge-worthy podcast, and they interview Deborah Snyder. She's a part of it.
Wow.
Because she's ultimately a victim in all this, because her name is sort of trashed in the industry for a while, because she's known as this person that would just toy with people, sending them out on location, leaving them with nothing.
What was the purpose of it? Like, why were they? Was it just for kicks, or is that part of the spoiler? Like,
yeah, kind of part of the spoiler, but like many catfish, they just enjoy messing with people.
Yeah, right.
And a little bit of money on the side. So give that a listen. Hollywood Con Queen, Deborah Snyder features heavily in that. It's a fantastic podcast. But we're here to talk about Watchmen, the IMDb synopsis. In a version of 1985 where superheroes exist, the murder of a colleague sends active vigilante Rorschach on the trail of a conspiracy that will change the course of history. The film stars Jackie Earle Haley as Walter Kovacs / Rorschach. He is top billed. Patrick Wilson as Dan Dryberg and Night Owl II. Billy Crudup as John Osterman / Dr. Manhattan. Matthew Good as Ozymandias. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is, of course, the comedian. Malin Ackerman as Laurie Jupiter or the Silk Spectre. Carla Gugino as Sally Jupiter, the original Silk Spectre. Film was released in the US on the 6th of March, 2009, and in Australia on the 5th of March. We had it a day early. This is
probably 2 days early, right?
If you do the time difference math. This is a world where we've completely caught up. Pirating has ruined everything for Hollywood, so there's no more staggered release dates.
Everybody gets everything.
I love that for the simple fact that in Australia, it's always been the way that films are released on a Thursday.
Yes.
That's just how it works.
Yep.
And so it didn't matter if it was the 80s or 90s, and in the US, they'd release their films. I believe they're always released on a Friday. So
I think that's changing now, but historically, yes.
Yes, it would come out on a Friday, and then you might wait 3 months, and then Australia would finally get it. So when they were forced into this position to have to release them at the same time, some hero in Australia went, no, we still release on Thursdays.
Not all heroes wear capes, Chris.
That's right. Yes. Thank you to whoever that person is that held strong. Now, the original theatrical release runs for 2 hours and 42 minutes. There's also a director's cut, which runs for 3 hours and 6 minutes, and that is the version I watched in preparation.
That is the version I watched as well.
Yes, and then there's also the ultimate cut, which is 3 hours and 35 minutes.
I do have the ultimate cut, but I just couldn't bring myself to watch it.
I didn't have it. I would have, but I thought I had it, but it was not on the shelf.
If you've got the the story of the pirate ship, then it basically just cuts the pirate ship into the appropriate spots. There's no real difference.
That's right. Yes. 3 hours and 35 minutes of Watchmen might be a little bit too much. Has an IMDb rating of 7.6.
That's okay, really.
That's very good. That's a very good score for a movie. Over on Rotten Tomatoes, the critics 62%. That's a nice fresh red tomato, and amongst the readers, it's 71%. So really strong. Now, just to set the scene before we get into the film, I really want to get a feel for what it was like in 2009. Let's just check in with Damon Lindelof because we know where we're headed is
Yep.
his version of Watchmen. He's of course probably writing season 6 of Lost at this point in time.
Yes.
2009, getting ready for that final season. Now, Dan, guess which episode of Lost airs the week that Watchmen comes out?
Well, it'll be season 5, right?
Season 5. It's a podcast favorite
Oh, it's a podcast favorite.
from season 5.
We didn't which ones did we have in season 5 that were our favorites? Like there's the finale. I don't think we're into the finale in March because the finale is usually May-ish, right?
No, we're right in the middle of Dharmaville.
Oh, then it's got to be LaFleur, right?
It's LaFleur. What a great week to be watching LaFleur.
Tag team LaFleur, bang, straight off to see the Watchmen.
Straight off to see the Watchmen. That's right. And so to get, I guess, to kind of really get in the zone, I wanted to pick up from where we left off with the production story and just how we got here. And there's a real feel in 2009 about what movies are being released, what's being made. You can sense a real change. So last week we left things in about 2004. Aronofsky and Greengrass, they've dropped out.
Yep.
Zack Snyder directs Dawn of the Dead. He's kind of like his arrival on the scene.
Yep.
And pretty positive praise. Good fun for someone rehashing, something that's been done a few times before. I remember people were really kind of positive about it. 2005, Warner Brothers have now got the rights and they go back to Aronofsky, but he drops out. Still too hard. And I think he does The Fountain or something, which nobody ever remembers and is sort of lost to history. But Zack Snyder kind of emerges as the leading candidate. This is 2005. In the same year, Sin City is released, and that's kind of important. So Robert Rodriguez brings to life the graphic novel Sin City,
and that's a Frank Miller graphic novel.
That's
was like a major contemporary of Alan Moore, especially in that 1986 era.
That's right, and we talked about last week your turning Batman into the what would it be like if this grumpy old man really was out there kicking heads in, and so we get that version and the idea of what if we took the panels from the page and just got them up onto the screen. 2006, V for Vendetta is released.
Another Alan Moore,
another Alan Moore, and I'm sure was he proud of that one?
No.
Okay.
No. I think V for Vendetta is pretty faithful. I'm not like I didn't go back and check his exact impression of it. I think he just hates every adaptation by Hollywood in general. But V for Vendetta is a pretty faithful adaptation for the most part. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I remember thinking it wasn't bad.
It's another graphic novel turned film with good reviews.
Yep.
And then in the same year, Zack Snyder directs 300, and that also gets quite a positive reception. And again, they use the method of, well, what if the graphic novel was our story? What if that was our framing?
Like the storyboard,
Exactly.
Yep.
And David Hayter and Alex E come on board to write, and that's the buzz for the movie is like, oh, don't worry, everyone. They're going to take the book. They're going to take the graphic novel and they're going to literally use it panel for panel as the storyboard for the film, right?
Nothing
so that should give
wrong.
everyone enough confidence because we loved Sin City, we loved 300. All these graphic novels are coming to life on the screen. This is going to be fantastic. 2007, you finally get your cast announced: Jackie Earle Haley, Patrick Wilson, Malin Ackerman, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Billy Crudup. This big announcement, and they're off to Vancouver to film. And 2008, there was a panel at Comic-Con for the Watchmen. Again, a lot of chat about how we've been super faithful to the comic book. Meanwhile, Fox, 20th Century Fox, who previously had the rights at one of the other goes, they file a lawsuit claiming that they hold the rights,
right?
Not Warner Brothers,
of course.
And so that throws them in court while they're trying to make the movie. Meanwhile, Frank Miller gets to actually sit in the directing chair himself, and he directs The Spirit with Scarlett Johansson. He says, I'm going to do what Rodriguez did with Sin City.
And The Spirit is a Will Eisner comic book, and Will Eisner's like this legendary comic book creator. So it's all tying together.
That's right. That's right. Now, except the spirit is terrible, right? So we're going, hang on a second, is the bubble about to burst? And then 2009, The Watchmen finally releases, and 20th Century Fox gets a little share of the profit. So everyone gets to make their money and they're happy. Now, 2009, Dan, please tell me where I really would love to know where you were at when you first heard about they're finally going to make the movie, trailers start to drop. What were your first impressions?
First impressions, I was very excited for this. So obviously, I love Watchmen. It was my, if not my favorite comic, up there, like top 5. Mm-hmm. So I was very excited to see what they could do. Saw the trailer. The trailer was thrilling. Like, it was just like, oh my God, this looks exactly right. This looks like it. This is gonna be perfect. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and in 2009, I'd already kind of started my pivot out of the boring business world into a bit of part-time work as a writer. That meant I was able to waste some time on my blog. And one of the things I did as I had this idea because I was so excited. There were these character promotional posters that came out, and they were just the comedian in a fancy pose. Like each of the 6 main characters were all in this beautiful pose. Like, it looked fantastic. And I took each of those promotional posters and I basically went through each of them, got out the old Photoshop, and overlaid them with kind of tiny little pop-up gags, like just little text boxes of. So, for example, the comedian over the top of his elbow pads, I had the gag: "Warning: elbow pads may not protect wearer if thrown out of skyscraper window." So, or for Ozymandias, I said over the top of Bubastis, I had "Pet Lynx has been genetically altered to be impressed by lame superhero costume." So that kind of thing. And this
is your Mad Mag. This feels like your Mad Magazine.
Yeah, basically.
Days coming out of you. Yeah,
exactly. And I thought, all right, this is nice and easy to do. I've got the posters, just a little bit of Photoshop, make a little bubble, put some text in there, have a handful of jokes, put them up on my blog, have a good laugh. Everyone's like, "Oh, great work, Dan. Salute. Well done." Let's all get ready for Watchmen. Except on the 10th of February 2009, I received in my email inbox a request from Jenny, who was a UK marketer charged with the online promotion of the movie, who liked the posters. She tracked down the posters. At first I thought, oh, wait a sec, she's going to tell me to take these down. But no, she wanted to know if I wanted to further help promote the film. And apparently they had, I only have vague memories of this now. They had a retro 80s TV player that you could add the HTML snippet to your blog, and then then it would stream new content through this widget to your thing, and it was ostensibly from the New Frontiersman within universe, and it would do broadcasts of stuff that was supposed to get people all excited for the movie. And they said, look, if you can add this widget to your site, we'll stream the content for you, and you can help us promote the movie. And I was just like, oh yeah, that sounds good to me. Didn't ask for any money. Maybe I should have asked for money, but I didn't.
These are the early days of user-generated content, and I mean, this is early influencer marketing, Dan. It's a very popular thing to do in movie marketing, is to reach out to the fans that are creating content and lean on their love of the film. And I thought you were going to say, Village Roadshow from the team in Melbourne that want to help promote the film locally, but these are the big dogs.
I guess so. I don't know. But so anyways, so she sent me this. I went back and found the old emails and reread them through. Yeah. And at one point we're discussing, she's like, she said, thanks for following me on Twitter. And it's, I don't really understand it. I said, yeah, I don't really understand it either, but I'm going to give it a go. So that was kind of funny. But yeah, after this, after Watchmen, I did she contacted me for a few more. So I did one for Transformers, which had this kind of miracle widget that would somehow turn your face into a Transformer. I can't really remember the details. I think there was a G.I. Joe one as well. But yeah, and then they started getting more obscure and things I wasn't interested in. So I just kind of let it slide after a while.
That really puts me in a place of these big film releases from the late thousands and early 2010s of things you can do to your social media profile to, transform yourself and update your avatar for a couple of weeks and try and get a bit
I guess
viral.
It was like a handful of years, like even 3 or 4 years later, it would have been all social media. It would have been Twitter or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But I was
Yeah.
just in the last dying breaths of, blogs and stuff. So
Yes, it's because we did cover on our Lost podcast or their annual attempt to create part of the Lost world
yeah,
in our world via a fake website that would
yes,
leak information, and they worked out. Fans love this stuff. They eat it up,
yep,
and eventually we would stop caring about it. But this was kind of like that peak moment where you can engage with fans,
yep.
get them to create a bit of content, and as well as have the website. That's amazing. So you were part of the promotion, Dan. Did you?
Apparently so, yeah. I'd completely forgotten about it till the other day when I was walking the dogs. I was like, wait a second, didn't I do something for this? And then I had to go and track down. I tracked down the emails, then I tracked down the posters that I did, and then yeah. So we'll put them on the socials, I think.
Did you at least get a couple of movie tickets?
I don't think so. I don't think I got anything. I was a very bad negotiator.
Yeah. Not even
I think I was mostly just honored to be, part of it. It was just like, oh, this is kind of cool.
That's so
I'm
funny because
famous.
I got to see the movie for free on
Oh,
the very
really?
first day. So
There you go.
yeah, because so I in my job at the time we managed to get an invite to the first screening in Australia.
Mhm.
It wasn't a premiere or anything, but I remember absolutely binging the graphic novel so that
Yeah.
I was fully prepped because I was. So 2009, or I mean, we just read through 2006, 2007, like all of these movies. So basically, this is my diet, right? In the late thousands. Sin City, you've got like Long Dark Halloween. I'm
Yeah.
reading Hellboy, The Killing Joke, Kick-Ass is out, Scott Pilgrim,
Yep.
anything that Kevin Smith is doing. I mean, how insufferable can one person be if these are the things that they're consuming? And so I just remember I followed the production online. I saw the trailer. I still remember the first time I saw Night Owl's ship Archie
Ship
coming
come
out of
out.
the
Yeah,
water.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
that's the abiding image I have as well. Just
and
like,
just decided I love this. I
yeah.
now care about Watchmen. I must now be an expert on it. I read the comic, understood none of it, understood none of the themes. I'm exactly the person that I think we'll end up talking about a bit later at the end of this story. And I got to go to a screening, and I watched the movie. And again, I still don't think I understood any of it. And all I think I got out of it was, oh yeah, it's like what if superheroes were real and
Yep.
lived in our world, and just stayed on that premise versus any of
No,
the
that's kind of the high concept pitch of it, right?
yeah, it is. And obviously there's, like we talked about last week, the politics and everything that gets
Yep.
discussed, but whether this film really connects with any of that, we can talk
To
about.
be decided.
Yeah. So before we get into, the verdict, I guess, on this film, I do want to cover the box office. So
Mhm.
how did it perform? So in Australia, before that first weekend, everyone was at the movies watching He's Just Not That Into You.
Oh,
So
okay. Yep.
this is Jennifer Aniston, Ben
Yep.
Affleck, Bradley Cooper, Drew
A
Barrymore,
lot of
Scarlett Johansson.
rom-com energy.
This is big rom-com energy. 3
And that
weeks
was
in a
based on a
row.
book as well, right?
Oh, I've got no idea.
It
Dan.
was. It was. No, there
Was it?
was a big self-help book. Like this
Oh,
dude. This dude
that's
had like
right.
a book or like I think it started as like a magazine column or a blog or something where people would write in, and his big shtick was like if he's not all over you, he's just not that
Yep.
into you. And all these
Yes.
women were just like, what? And
That's right.
and then that became a movie.
I think it was actually a husband-wife team. That may have been
Could
like
have been,
blogging
yeah.
team or something. Yeah. So that's another excellent connection. So 3 weeks of people being dragged along on date night to watch that one. Watchmen comes out, has 1 week of glory until Confessions of a Shopaholic, the next rom-com featuring, I think, Isla Fisher, comes
Right.
along and puts all of that to bed. So Watchmen is sort of starts to disappear. A little bit later on, you get Fast and Furious is out by April. X-Men
Is that the
Origins Wolverine.
Fast and Furious?
Yeah.
What is that? The first one or not the first one?
The
Surely.
Yeah, first one, Fast
Is
and
really?
Furious.
Okay.
Yeah. X-Men Origins. And then the big J.J. Abrams release, Star Trek.
I remember the Star Trek, yeah.
Yeah. So an interesting time at the cinema, because there's this kind of, I feel like Watchmen arrives on this wave of like, don't we just love this graphic novel stuff, and it's all high concept. And then a few months later, we're just back to another X-Men movie, Star Trek,
Yeah.
Angels and Demons, another book adaptation. There's another crack at Terminator, and then another crack at Transformers, and then
Yep.
finally the last Harry Potter film. That's
Don't you diss
basically
Transformers. I was part of the promotion for that one, man.
So that's what was happening at the box office. In the US, they made 107 mil, and here in Australia, 6.1. So a little bit under the 10% threshold that we like to get.
Yeah. And 107 mils probably disappointing. I can't imagine this was cheap to make, right?
No, I think they spent about 130 or something on it. So by the time globally, you kind of make your money back.
Yeah, I guess.
Yes. So Dan, let's rip the Band-Aid off. You watched the film recently. I've obviously rewatched it. Oh, I thought maybe we'd start with the cast before we really, because I have a feeling you might get a little bit mean here. So I'm gonna try and start with a few positives. The cast. So do you want to hear a few casting rumors as we've maybe talked to a few
Hit me with some casting rumors. Yep.
Let's start with Laurie.
Because I'm what am I? I'm 83% positive on the cast. 83.33% positive on the cast.
That's good numbers. So so Malin Ackerman as Laurie Jupiter, is it a thumbs up?
She's fine. Like I don't think she's anything special. She looks good. She looks and it's not a great role. Like it wasn't a great role in the book either. It's like Alan Moore's got many good qualities as a writer. Writing Silk Spectre is perhaps not one of them.
Yeah, so not an amazing lot to work with, but on the journey you had names like Hilary Swank, Natalie Portman, Rachel Weisz, Jennifer Connelly, Mila Jovovich, and Jessica Alba, all considered at various points. But Laurie was eventually played by Malin Ackerman. What do you think about Matthew Good as Adrian?
Well, here's where we. I'm not a fan of Matthew Good as Ozymandias because the problem is basically just that like a major point of the entire story is the shocking reveal that Adrian's behind everything. And he shows up and he's got this German accent. And he's basically twirling his mustache. It's just like. I saw this with people who didn't know it, and then I was like, "Well, that guy's the villain, right?" And it's like, "Well, yeah, but you're not supposed to do that."
Shush, yeah. This is supposed to be a huge shock.
And Good himself, like later came out and he said, like he regretted the decision to use the German accent. He said, like I overthought it. I shouldn't have tried to give him a German accent. He said, and it's like, yeah, probably not. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
and
so that's my major thumbs down. The Matthew Good casting.
Yeah, the same as well. Like I know he had the looks and stuff, but he's not very commanding.
No, he's not. No.
And so so picture a different timeline where a man named Tom Cruise was interested in the part.
Really?
He met with Snyder. However, so he met
that
Snyder,
would have been fascinating though.
He meets with Tom, but this is the most Tom Cruise thing ever, right? This makes so much sense. He meets with Snyder and about the Adrian fight, the Ozymandias role. But Cruise is like, no, I want to play Rorschach. The man who's like masked up the whole film. The man, so Tom Cruise famous for his face. So but they'd already cast Jackie Earle Haley by that point. So we could have had Tom Cruise. Speaking of Rorschach, a fun story here. Actually, I'll get your point of view on Jackie Earle Haley.
Oh,
first.
Brilliant! Like I'll have more to say about him later, but just overall, the star of the show steals the show, steals the movie. Great.
Okay.
I think he's the best cast person in the entire movie.
Oh, okay. I have a contention with that. There's something about the vocal for me that it's a little bit I'm trying to be Batman, which is sort of not how I kind of. But we'll get into that. So yeah, it's a fun story. He got his agent over to come around one day, and they bought this Halloween Rorschach outfit, and then he just filmed a bunch of stuff in his living room, and they sent it off to Snyder, and Snyder basically said his note, he replied to him, and his notes were very low tech but awesomely acted. Clearly there's no one else to play Rorschach. And he got the role. Excellent. Now, so Dan Dryberg, played by Patrick Wilson, thumbs up, thumbs down?
Yeah, he's good. Like it's yeah, I think he fits the role pretty well. I don't think he's spectacular. I think he's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty
So
good.
for me, he is the man on the page. He is Dan Dryberg. That
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think he's better than Rorschach personally.
Right. Yeah.
I think the energy of who when I read Dan
Yeah.
in the books, I think it's absolute. That's like the best casting of the whole thing.
Yeah.
For me. But during the years where they tried to get Watchmen made, we had Kevin Costner approached.
Cool.
So apparently Patrick Wilson put on like 12 kilos to play this role, right?
Yeah.
He didn't want to, he had to look a certain way. So you've got Kevin Costner, Christopher Walken, Richard Gere, and eventually John Cusack, who all had interest in this role at some point or another.
I could see Cusack. I'm not sure I could see any of the others.
No, I don't see any of them putting on 12 kilo
No.
to play Dan Dryberg. And then I want him, Sally Jupiter. So who obviously ends up being Carla Gugino, Liv Tyler, Jamie Lee Curtis, Anne Margaret, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Winona Ryder, Sigourney Weaver. There's a lot of range there, and I know they went with the.
It depends which age, like whether you want to age them
Yes.
down for the flashbacks or age them up for the current day. So
That's right. Now, personally, I think she is the worst part of the entire film. Absolutely terrible, and the makeup, the aging, all of it. I hate it.
The
whole
makeup's
thing.
not great. Yeah. I didn't even include her in my 5 out of 6 rating. I just skipped her completely.
Yeah, okay. And then I've left Dr. Manhattan for last because.
Well, you've forgotten Jeffrey Dean Morgan as the comedian.
Oh, sorry, I've forgot. Okay, I haven't forgotten him.
Okay,
he's just the man was born to play.
Yes, I was going to say
comedian, and apparently he picked up the graphic novel. Said this guy gets killed at the beginning. I'm going to pass, and they said no, keep reading, and then he was like, oh my god, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
And Zack Snyder said again, there's no one else on this planet was born to play comedian. So you're right, Dan. I left him out, but he's no one else could have done that. He's perfect. But I've left the best till last. Dr. Manhattan, who of course is Billy Crudup. Now it's not Billy Crudup's body.
No, or penis.
And they used a stunt
penis.
model.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's all digital. I'm not even sure if it's but it was just his head transposed onto onto a digital body. Now, someone else was offered the role first, but ended up passing on it, and that man was Keanu Reeves.
Okay, I love Keanu. I'm not sure. I'm not sure he belongs in that role.
Very, very strange to even offer him that role, but I just
love. Not much of a role, though. I reckon. I think pretty much anybody. All you got to do is speak with a monotone and kind of just stare blankly as if you don't care about anything. Crudup is fine, but I think anybody could have done it pretty much. Maybe I'm severely underestimating how difficult that is, but it seemed pretty easy to me.
Yeah, and I've got one more actually, and actually I've got a surprise list within a list. If you'll humor me,
here we go.
Dan.
Yep.
Because there's someone else is cast in this movie as Richard Nixon, and I
Yes.
remember there was a lot of talk about people have seen him on set and he's got the makeup and everything, and I personally think it's a terrible portrayal of Tricky
I
Dick.
agree. It takes you completely out of it. It's just like, why is this guy got a rubber nose doing an impression of Richard Nixon? It's a mistake.
If you're going to do the rubber nose, if you're going to have the jowls, you've got to go all in. So this is my top 5 actors who have played Richard Nixon.
Yep. Okay.
Right now, unless you've got a personal favorite that you want to shout out now, I'll go through my top 5.
Didn't what's his name, Hannibal Lecter, play Richard Nixon at some point?
Yes. I
can't remember his name. What's his real name?
Sir Anthony Hopkins.
Sir Anthony Hopkins. Yes.
Put some
Hannibal
respect
Lecter to
on.
me.
Yes, he played Nixon in the movie Nixon when back when they would always do a movie for every president. But he's not in my top 5.
So Frost Nixon is another option.
Yes, that's right. I'll get to him.
Go. I'll let you go. I'll stop interrupting.
Right. Sorry, Dan. I got too excited and now I'm just.
I got too excited too.
Yeah. So number 5, of course, is the former president himself, Ronald Reagan, who played Richard Nixon.
Really?
In Horror House on Highway 5. So back in Reagan's acting days, he actually portrayed Nixon, which is so insane to think about. So
Yep.
shout out to Reagan for his portrayal of Nixon there. Number 4, Frank Langella for Frost Nixon. Excellent movie. If you haven't seen that,
Yep. Saw it a long
recommend.
time ago, but yes,
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
Now, number 3, I've gone with Bob Gunton. Now, he played Nixon in the 1997 movie Elvis Meets Nixon.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
you're familiar with the story?
I know
of
the
when...
story. I don't know the movie. Like, I know that Elvis was like basically hired to spy on people. Like, it was really weird.
So he claims, and he ends up with a badge, and
Yeah.
but he just rocks up at the White House one day and says, "I'd like to talk to Mr. Nixon." And then there's that famous photo of them together. Apparently, he was like people would come into Nixon's office to do business, and each time that happened, Elvis would just jump in the closet and then pop back out again. So I've gone with Bob Gunton from the 1997 version, not Kevin Spacey, who played him in the 2016 version, Elvis and Nixon.
Okay,
so there's been 2 films made about that story.
I was not aware of either of them.
That's right. Michael Shannon plays Elvis in the 2016 version.
Okay.
Watch that trailer. It is utterly bizarre. Number 2, this was a real tough decision, right? Number 1 and number 2. But number 2, I've gone with Billy West. Obviously, he does a whole bunch of voices on Futurama, including Fry and Zach Brannigan. But if he does Nixon.
Oh, that's right, because there's the Nixon head. I forgot. Yes, there's the Nixon head in Futurama. Yes.
In Futurama, once they decided that it was the year 3000 and they could pretty much do anything, Matt Groening said, "Great, this is my excuse to make Nixon president again, because that's going to be funny." So his head in the jar eventually becomes president. And there's a really great clip of Billy West where he talks about how to do a really good Nixon. And he says that when he was younger, he used to watch Nixon on the TV. And he said, Nixon always looked like a man on the verge of turning into a werewolf. And so that is the energy behind his Nixon. And I'll share that on the social. So number 1 is James McManus from the movie Black Dynamite.
Okay.
Also came out in 2009. So we had warring Nixons.
Right.
At the cinema, we had dueling Nixons. And Dan, if you haven't seen the movie Black Dynamite,
I have not.
I am putting a strong recommendation that you watch this film. Nixon is in this movie. I don't want to spoil his role in this film, but it is the best and most fun portrayal of Richard Nixon you will see. So there it is. That's my top 5 actors who have played Richard Nixon.
And for our younger listeners, we should probably explain that Richard Nixon was a president who did the wrong thing and then was sacked for it, if you can believe. So, that's
right. Yes, he was impeached. And yes, if the word Watergate means anything to you, that is where what Nixon is most famous for.
Yes.
All right. So that's our cast. We've got to talk about the movie, Dan. Does it work?
Well, all right. I'll start with the good stuff. It looks incredible. Like, as I said, like some of the scenes are, as you said, panels just come to life. And if you'd read the book as many times as I had, that was like thrilling to see some of this stuff. And like the opening montage of the comedian being killed as like unforgettable plays. It's got Zack Snyder's slow motion stuff, which I'm kind of sick of now. But at the time, it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. That was great. And then it goes into those opening credits, which are possibly the best thing Zack Snyder's ever directed, those opening credits. It's just like, it introduces you to the world, and it's just economical storytelling. You get the entire alternate history in just like this beautiful little, 6-minute montage or whatever. You get, the comedian assassinating JFK and all this kind of stuff. It's really smart. It's really good. And then it makes the rest of the movie even more frustrating somehow, because he's got that so right. And then it's like he used up all his intelligence in those first 6 minutes and then thought, all right, let's have Rorschach, put a meat cleaver through some guy's head and we'll focus on that for a bit. Come on, Zach.
We talked about how they could use the book as the literal storyboard of the movie. And after a while, it just doesn't work. Yeah. Like this is a bad movie. Like, I am shocked that it has a positive rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and I need to talk to somebody who hasn't read the book so that they could tell me, does this even work? Does the twist ending work? Does it even make sense? Because I feel like it's trying to do everything the book does, but the book is a serialized issue by issue, where you get relevant information in interesting ways. But when you just lay it out for 3 hours, it's just a bunch of stuff happening. And I don't even know if the main thrust of let's follow Rorschach, a vigilante who's trying to understand, someone is going around and killing other masked vigilantes, and does that even work? Because by the time we're introduced to
You're off to
Laurie and her
Mars for a
mum,
bit.
and yeah, exactly, and you're just you're just like, oh, here's Dr. Manhattan, and let's just spend a bit of time
Yeah.
with his story. And you're like I feel like narratively it's such a slog, and it makes no sense.
Yeah. It's such a bizarre combination of being incredibly faithful to too faithful to the book in some ways.
Yes.
And then every now and then he'll change something and it's just like, well, that's the wrong thing to change. What the hell are you doing? So, but like, as you say, like the book is episodic. It's like 12 episodes. And you can see in the movie, you go, oh, well, we're into episode 3 now. All right, here comes comic book, issue 4. Here's issue 5 coming up. And you can actually see when it turns, and that just doesn't work in a movie. It's just like, it's so stop-start. It's it's kind of frustrating that he didn't try and make it a singular structure somehow. Like maybe that's too hard, but he never tried.
You can see why people have tried and failed, because I assume some of those other versions, they're going, well, no, we need to make it work for a 2-hour sitting that's narratively satisfying, and that there's a satisfying twist, and in order to do that you need to get comfortable with a certain way things are going. And Zack Snyder's whole thing throughout all the production is, don't worry, everything is going to be correct. The costumes are going to look exactly the same way. The way it's colored is going to be there, and Dave Gibbons is going to be on set every day, and he seems like just the nicest man that's just happy to be around and see his work come to life. So he's like, yeah, that looks like Rorschach's mask and his hat. Fantastic. And then you just watch it and you're like, okay, so then Dan and Laurie go to dinner because that's what it said they did in the book.
Yeah.
And then the sex scene is just like weird. Like it kind of means something in the book, right? Because you get used to it. Dan, and you know what the costume means, and that this guy's going through a depressive state. But in the movie, it's just kind of weird and gratuitous. And then they just kind of follow things because that's what's in the book, so therefore it needs to be in the movie.
Well, and like the one of the things that did drive me nuts about it is that Snyder's he seems to mistake the idea that this is a movie that adults are going to watch with. It's like, well, let's put in R-rated shit at every opportunity.
Yes,
so there's the lengthy sex scene. There's people's fingers being blown off by bullets in slow motion. So what is this? Knives going into heads. It's just like, oh, it's like he's like, well, a mature movie is a gratuitous movie. It's just like, well, no, it's so like the book is kind of adult in its theme. Like it's about moral compromise and existential dread and all this kind of shit. And Snyder's just like, oh no, let's just make it R-rated in its content. That's the fun bit. Let's have it be violent, and let's have them having sex, and that's cool.
Yeah.
And he even gets that wrong. Like the whole point is that like these are humans, and then they're punching through walls, and so what the hell is going on here? That like you're missing I remember I saw this with my dad, and he was so confused, just like, well, do these guys have powers or not? Like they're like, are they? And I'm just like, and he'd read the book, but he'd read it so long ago that he'd forgotten it. And I was just like, no, they're normal people. They just, if they can punch people through walls, I don't know why they can't. They I don't know. Snyder thought it looked cool, but yeah.
It's like, all that like the slow motion stuff you talked about, but then by the 7th or 8th time, or when there's the attempt on Ozymandias's life, that's supposed to be a shock, and it's supposed to throw you off the scent. But instead, it's a fully slowed down scene where they emphasize his ability to fight back, and that poor woman gets her hand blown to bits, and it's just so tonally off. And when you talked about the morality and the adult themes, yes, the adult themes are that you've got all these different characters that are following a different moral compass. And I was reading some of this on Reddit. Yeah, these were people's interpretations of the film, and I'm like, all these interpretations, which are really smart and bang on, are absolutely accurate, but they apply directly to the book. Yeah, there's nothing actually in the movie that's you're taking a literal interpretation
Yeah.
and applying it to the movie. But no, those are all the things that the film is able to land.
Yeah.
And so I just don't think it accomplishes anything. Like at the end of the day, that book has so much to say,
Mm.
and this has nothing to say except remember Sin City. That was cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't this even cooler because we got more money and we made
and the
the
costumes look
airship
right.
and the costumes look incredible and like I said, even Jackie Earl Haley's, like when he's in prison, like I don't care. And there's that line where he's like, you're not. How does it go, Dan?
It's like none of you seem to realize I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me.
Yeah, exactly. And even the reveal that, oh, hey, hang on, have we been seeing his face this whole time? And that, that doesn't work at all.
No.
And so
and it can't really, because it's like a movie is different to a comic book. Like this is what Snyder doesn't seem to realize. Like in a comic book, you realize that and you go, oh, wait a sec. And then you can flip back the pages and go, that's that guy. I saw him like 3 issues ago. Can't do that in a movie. So it's and there are other things like that he doesn't seem to realize you can't do, like if you're this incredibly faithful, like as he kind of alluded to, the dialogue. Yeah, Alan Moore writes. Yeah, he writes brilliant dialogue, but he does write. He writes to be read. It's not written to be said. And like if you try and speak this aloud, like this is why I give Jackie Earl Haley like such credit, because like to say, like I've written out the line here, and like no one should be able to make this line work spoken on film. The accumulated filth of all their sex and murder will foam up about their waists, and all the whores and politicians will look up and shout, "Save us!" And I'll look down and whisper, "No." And that should sound ridiculous on film, and he kind of gets away with it. That's just like, that's borderline miraculous, because I don't think many of any other time the actors are kind of literally reciting the balloon text from the panels. It does sound a little bit ridiculous. And Jackie Earl Haley, I reckon, mostly makes it work. But it's really like there is definitely a difference between words designed for reading and words designed to be heard. Like the recaps I used to do on the Lost podcast, they were written, like they weren't designed to be heard on a podcast. They were originally written for people to read. So I don't think they worked as well as part of a podcast as they did to be read. But we did them because we had to put everything we had into that podcast.
And it's so interesting you say that about that line with Jackie Earl Haley, because it works in the comic because you see it. Like he's like immediately starts off like this, society's gone to hell in a handbasket, the filth, the pedophiles on the street, you kind of, that is come to life page after page in every background, in every bar, the background of a panel where they're in the bar and you've got all these deplorables. The scene where I still don't even understand it, that the street thugs come together and decide that it's all Night Owl's fault, and they go and kill the original Night Owl, and it's supposed to be this he fights back, and there's a bit of sort of triumphant but sad sort of thing to it. Just it carries nothing. Like it's just like, who are these people? They have the most stunted conversation. Yeah, that's right. Doesn't he live down the road? Let's go kick his head in. Because the whole thing is supposed to be this ticking, like the doomsday thing. Yeah. And it builds so well in the comic. And for a film that goes for 3 hours, you don't get any of that attention, any of that tension. And suddenly they're in Antarctica. They're accusing Ozymandias of doing things. And I got to imagine in the cinema when Matthew Good says, I did it 35 minutes ago, the entire cinema was silent. Like one of the greatest twists imaginable. And it doesn't land. And then, I mean, Dan, this is I really need to know your point of view on the ending, where Dr. Manhattan kind of does a heel turn and he's like, what? I think you're right, Ozymandias. I think you're right.
Yeah. I can sort of see why Snyder was tempted to ditch the squid. Like I could see, all right, maybe that's too hard. And I did check out his commentary. He basically said in the audio commentary, he said, look, I like the squid, but but I thought my ending was better because it included a character we already knew in Dr. Manhattan. And the 25 minutes I would have needed to explain the squid would have been 25 minutes less in the movie that you would have had of Rorschach or Dan or Manhattan's backstory. So I could kind of see it, but making Dr. Manhattan the cause for the nations to unite, apart from anything else, it just doesn't make any logical sense. It's been established from the very start that he's an integral part of the US defense plans. Like the other nations aren't going to go, oh, well, I guess he's gone rogue. They're going to go, no, what are you fuckers doing in the US? Like, we're coming for you now. Like, it doesn't work. The whole thing doesn't work.
Yes, because they would just simply blame the US for the disaster that took place, maybe the tourists that may have perished that were visiting from Europe or something, and all these people that die. And then he somehow comes to, like, after the realization that Laurie herself is a miracle and that she is this one good thing that can come from such a, awful world. But he's like, but I'm fine with several million people dying as well to also get a point across.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. And then the part where Rorschach's journal goes to the is it the New Frontiers?
Yeah, I think that's the one. Yeah.
The publication with the cranks, and the kid, talks to the editor, and he's like, I don't know, just get something from the crank. And the sauce spills from his sandwich onto the shirt, and it's so like that iconography is so synonymous, and it's so clever in the book. Yeah, so clever. But in the movie, I think it's the ultimate example of just like, oh, you just roll your eyes, like the way they shoot it and slow it, and so that you can see that, oh, look, the sauce has dripped on the smiley face, and it's mimicking the comedian, and just like
We've
so
come full circle.
Yeah, exactly. It's just really bad. So
yeah,
that's my personal opinion on. I had to watch this in 2 sittings. That's how much of a slog it was.
Yeah, I did it in the one sitting, but I may not have given it my full attention throughout the entire running time. Partly because I'd seen it before, but partly because it was just like, all right, yeah, okay. I know what's going to happen here. So.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well,
my major problem with the movie, like, ultimately, the biggest problem is that it's way too long. Like, it really should have been a TV show. Like, if you're going to do it, do a TV show. So hold that thought, Damon Lindelof. We'll get back to you.
It's all there, and that's what makes that show so impressive. And we'll get to it next week, because all of those themes that are set up in the original book are so rich, and if they're handled in the right way, you can do. Well, who knew you could do more with it versus just your own interpretation of trying to deliver on those themes. But instead, we got the Zack Snyder version, and look, I am surprised that I felt like it was received quite negatively as time has gone on. I think people are quite kind with it. The film came out in 2009. By 2010, Zach is now directing Legend of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole. Some animated YA lore-heavy thing that I never saw. Sucker Punch comes out in 2011. I think that has a love-hate fan base. There's some people that I think that adore that film, and others that do not think it's very good. And I guess most interestingly of all, over at Warner Brothers, they're seeing the success of these Marvel films. They're working. Oh, there's some characters like Thor and Iron Man that were really hard to deliver on screen.
And they're like, wait a second, we got Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman. What the hell?
Yeah, we've had some success with our Batman movies. People were desperate for that universe, for those 3 Nolan films to turn into a universe. But they said, no, we you know what? And then when they went to Zack Snyder, and 2013 is Man of Steel, and immediately it's controversial. Dan, your Superman is very close to your heart.
I do love Superman, and my overall score in this movie is like 5 out of 10, because the first half is 10 out of 10, right up until the point Pa Kent steps into a tornado. I'm like, I love this. This is brilliant. This is so good to look at. It's so I love the Krypton stuff. And then he watches, he says, off you go, Dad. Oh, sorry, I couldn't save you. I obviously could, but I'm not going to.
Yep.
And then I'm just like, what the hell? What the hell's this story? Who's this person? I don't know what's going on here. So yeah, Man of Steel lost me that. Like Man of Steel is what if Superman, but 9/11 is basically Man of Steel, and I have no interest in him, gleefully destroying Metropolis with a bit of fisticuffs with somebody else from Krypton. That's stupid.
I remember seeing that film at the cinema. We stayed to the end because we thought, well, surely not Sam Jackson, but someone will turn up at the end and it'll be part of a wider universe. And we'd have to wait 3 more years of casting and speculation. And we finally got, it already felt like a misstep. Batman versus Superman. So I think we were like, we're doing another Superman movie, that Warner are desperate for this thing to turn into a universe. So suddenly it becomes Batman versus Superman. And that, I believe that was never the intention for that movie. And so in 2016, a quick story about this movie. I was I was going to go on holiday. I was going to go to America. I was going to go and see my first ever WrestleMania. It was the nerdiest holiday of my life. And the flight was delayed by 16 hours.
All right.
And so I left the airport. I went down to the Werribee Plaza Gold Class and I said, give me a ticket to Batman versus Superman. I knew it wasn't going to be very good, but I was like, this is the first day of my holiday, so I'm going to go to Gold Class. I'm going to recline in one of these chairs, knowing that this 3-hour Batman Superman film was at least going to deliver something. And I ended up scrolling on my phone for a large chunk of this.
I must confess, I don't mind Batman. Like, my controversial take is I don't mind Batman versus Superman. I enjoy Ben Affleck's Batman. I think he does a good Batman.
Yes, no, I agree.
But I ultimately it's frustrating for the same reason Watchmen's frustrating. Like the bones of this are fine, but like Watchmen works because Alan Moore loves the superhero genre. He knows what he's doing, and when he's deconstructing them, like he's doing it from a place of I want to see how these tick. Snyder just like doesn't even seem to understand what he's deconstructing. So his Superman's like this sad sack. His Batman is running around killing people. It's just like just stop doing the wrong things. Like make them the proper characters. What are you doing?
Yes, but he took the Frank Miller page and he put it up on the screen, and that and look, it gets cheers from certain parts of the audience to be like, that's the panel with the lightning strike. We're all happy. Bizarrely, right? Like, I find this fascinating that they're going, okay, we've clearly got our Justice League crew together. Let's get this universe rolling. And in the same year, you've got Suicide Squad. Now, obviously, this gets panned and mocked as one of the worst films. And I remember this coming out. I saw this trailer and I was like, oh, this is going to be incredible. Because Guardians of the Galaxy had just come out. Right. So James Gunn had just managed to get everyone to give a shit about a talking tree. And like the most bizarre corners of the Marvel universe had been put on screen and it worked. And you had the groovy soundtrack and it just works. It's one of the better Marvel films. And there's the Suicide Squad. We're going to do the same thing. It's going to be wacky. We're going to have all these villains and everything. Yes. And it's shit. It's really bad. And the whole thing starts to kind of, there's this feeling of like, oh no, is this going to go in tatters? But then Wonder Woman comes out and there's actually, because they've beaten Marvel to the punch in having a female-led
what if superheroes were ladies? Yes.
That's right. Yes. What if superheroes were ladies? Took them a long time to work that out, but people really enjoyed Wonder Woman. So then it was time for Justice League, and Zack is back in the chair. And I mean, look, there's plenty of problems with that film.
And it's not completely his fault, obviously. It had to be taken over due to kind of tragic circumstances. And
that's right. And they brought in Mr. Avengers himself.
Whedon.
Yeah, Joss Whedon came in, and so people thought, oh, okay. But unfortunately, that started the whole conspiracy theory that there was another version out there that were like the fans
the Snyder
were like,
Cut hashtag.
That's right. Yeah. Trust us. There's another version that's good. We promise that we know there's a good one. After that, you get Aquaman and Shazam and Harley Quinn's back in Birds of Prey, and there's another Wonder Woman film, and that apparently that's a big misstep. And so this whole attempt at a universe has just not worked. And so in mid-COVID, they're like, fine, Have the
It's
Snyder
just Snyder
cut.
cut.
And
And
then
I gotta admit, I kind of like the Snyder cut as well.
all right. I haven't seen it. I have not seen it.
I like it's 4 hours long. It's kind of ridiculous, but you know, this was the middle of COVID. It's like fine, I'll watch this. I don't care.
Mm.
And it's like it is pure Snyder. It's like huge and operatic, and it's far too self-serious, but it's kind of sometimes brilliant, but mostly exhausting, and it's convinced that it's profound, and it's just like I don't know. I kind of like it. Like I'm more than happy for them to move on from that, but it's just like,
Yeah.
well, that's if you want to wrap it up, that's fine with me.
This whole what the Snyder cut means for me ultimately is when I was doing some research on Watchmen and I was reading some Reddit threads, there's a lot of conversation on what version should I watch because there's three versions out there, and people are like, you can HBO Max says that this is the ultimate, but it's not. They've mislabeled it, and so there's a whole thing you have to go through to find the version, the 3.5 hour extended cut. And so many people are complimentary at literally saying, awesome, thank you for that. I'm so glad I'm going to get to see it the way it was meant to be watched. And there's just something in that, like the way it was meant to be watched, that's so Snyder cut.
Yeah.
You know, the director, and to me, it's everything like the way that people start to criticize films based purely on, well, that costume is wrong.
Yeah.
The character is being played by an actor of the wrong ethnic background.
Yep.
It's all of that stuff that a good movie is a movie that literally takes what it looks like in the book when it was written in 1980, whatever, and puts it up on the screen and makes it look exactly the same. And they're just Watchmen all the way through to Justice League and every one of these movies in between is just dripping with this new attitude towards movies are supposed to look a certain way, and I don't care if I'm not being challenged with any interesting moral questions or dilemmas or anything or I don't care if the movie doesn't have anything to say beyond here's the character.
Remember that comic?
Yep. The character's punching someone, the villain looks accurate, I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful that Mr. Lindelof came along and said, you know what? I'm going to do this justice. Pardon the pun.
Yes. So that's what we're going to be covering next time, right?
That's right.
Before we do that, should we check in with Alan Moore as promised?
Oh, please, Dan, I really do want to know, how is he in the thousands? With his this will be the biggest Alan Moore piece of art that's ever had, come to life.
Yeah, he hated the movie. He didn't watch it, but he fundamentally rejected the entire idea of it. He basically, a quote I found: "It glorifies everything the comic criticizes." And he said the film was made by someone who only saw the drawings and didn't read it. Pretty much everything pretty much everything we've said. Like he says, no, this is no good. He says, I'm not going to watch it. I hope it falls on its face as both kind of an artistic and commercial retribution against DC. As you kind of alluded to right at the beginning, his name wasn't on it. His name's not on any of these adaptations.
No.
He says he doesn't accept the royalties from them. He says they're all yours, Dave Gibbons and Higgins, presumably. I'm not sure what the split is there, but anyway, his general policy is that he doesn't take any money from Hollywood adaptations. He lets them go to his co-workers.
Well, that's nice. That's nice of him. It
is nice of him. That's but doesn't stop him from falling out with Dave Gibbons.
Oh no!
So around about this stage now. You may remember the name Paul Levitz from last time, and Paul Levitz was the guy who basically kept Watchmen kind of safe and secure in a prestigious corner of the DC universe. No sequels, no prequels. Like, this is something special that Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons created for us. We'll keep that safe, and no one can touch it. We'll reprint it so he can't get the rights to it, but he'll get lots of money, and I'll look after it. And then, of course, Levitz retired, and then all hell broke loose because the new folks in charge of DC said, why are we deferring to this crazy old wizard? So they started commissioning, a before Watchmen series, which was basically just a whole heap of prequels. Moore got the shits with that. Gibbons was like, whatever, like let people have their fun. And, this pretty much led to a falling out with Moore. And Moore's perspective was basically, you know, we've fought DC for the rights and royalties for this all the time. Why are you just endorsing this movie and saying you're okay with this before Watchmen? And Gibbons was just like, I don't know. It's just
Life's too
something
short.
we created. I want some money for it. I don't care. You know, other people are engaging with the characters we created. That's fine.
Yeah,
And Moore was just like, nah, not having it. And of course, going on, by the time we get to the Lindelof series, there will be further Watchmen-based grievances from Alan Moore.
Good.
But we'll explore that next time, I imagine.
It's good to know the man holds a grudge. Interestingly, I tried to watch a couple of the features on the Blu-ray, and there's like a full 30-minute the history of Watchmen, how we brought it to life on the big screen, and I think the word Alan is mentioned maybe once or twice in that entire 30-minute. Dave's on there. He's happy. He's a talking head. He's proudly pointing at all the costumes and going, look at how cool that is. His artwork has come to life. And then Alan Moore's name is mentioned maybe once or twice. Now I have one final little postscript for us here, Dan. I was curious. What is the most expensive thing that you could find on eBay right now related specifically to this movie? It's not very exciting, but I am going to, as I love to do, send you some images live as we record. It is not the Night Owl ship. It is, remember in the 2000s when we loved buying DVDs, we loved buying our favorite movies on DVD. And
yes, I remember this.
The more bizarre the receptacle for the DVD, the better, right? So bookshelves.
I hated all these bizarre receptacles. I remember the first time The Simpsons did one of them, and I was like, wait a sec, I've got like 7 seasons here, all very neat and orderly. They look perfect together, and now here's fucking Bart's head as a receptacle for my DVDs. I do not want this. Thank you very much.
Yes, that is a running joke, and I had the exact same issue. So I will post this, but they released a DVD version which features Rorschach's mask and hat, and you can open it up, and it has the 2 DVDs in there. It's kind of terrifyingly accurate.
Yep.
I'll say so. I'll share that. You can grab that on eBay for about $35. If you're keen to hunt one down. Now that's I'm ready to leave.
I'm very ready to leave the Watchmen
2009 universe and get into the 2019 Watchmen TV series.
Well,
so
in a Dr. Manhattan sense, we're already in 2019 and 2009 and 1985.
Yes. All right, Dan. So we've got. I mean, we want to tackle the TV series. I don't know if there's a way to do that without, we can't talk about every episode.
Yeah. We're trying to keep the lengths of the podcast episodes under control here. And it is a lot of ground to cover to do, because it's 9 episodes, I believe, the TV series, the one season. So I was thinking maybe we could just look at the 3 best episodes of the series. Scrunch it down into something manageable. That's about the length of a Watchmen 2009 movie.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So if we could determine the 3 best episodes, I guess like a 3-episode run, right? Like where did the series peak?
Yes. Exactly.
So what if? Yeah. Okay. We'll get the data.
Yep. And I've already done it. I'm way ahead of you.
Hang on a second. Is this something I've prepared earlier? Situation?
It is something I prepared earlier. I built a spreadsheet. I've worked out the best consecutive 3 episodes for this particular series, the Watchmen. So the best 3 episodes in a row are 6, 7, and 8. This Extraordinary Being, 9.2 out of 10 on IMDb. An Almost Religious Awe, 8.8 out of 10. And A Guard Walks into a Bar, 9.4 out of 10. A little bit of pun work there from Damon. And of course, that's the penultimate episode. So much like with the comic, the peak of the Watchmen TV series is the penultimate episode.
Amazing. All right. Well, so if you haven't watched the series in a while, those are the 3 episodes we'll sort of focus our attention on next week. But Dan, I can't wait to get into that series. It really was something to. It's quite an achievement. So yeah, can't wait to talk about that. Yeah, can't wait to talk about it.
Yep, and we will do that next time. Thank you for listening to Rewatching The Watchmen. If you have any feedback on anything you've heard in this episode, or even if you just want to share some of your own favourite Watchmen memories. No need to drop off your journal to a right-wing newspaper. You could just contact us via email at lostwithinlostpodcast@gmail.com. We're also on the socials. We're on Twitter, or X as some of you may know it, and we're also on Blue Sky, both of those at Lost Within Lost. Come and say hello. And meanwhile, thank you for listening.
Mad scientist stuff? I mean, when was this hopeless black fantasy supposed to happen? When were you planning to do it?
Do it? Dan, do you seriously think I'd explain my master stroke if there remained the slightest chance of you affecting its outcome? I did it 35 minutes ago.